Hello, Canes fans. We're coming at you live from the Fiesta Bowl out here in, I don't know any other better word to describe this place than just absolutely beautiful, Scottsdale, Arizona. You see the sun behind me, the mountains, the cactus. I just ran into somebody from Miami and they said, man, we're a long way from South Florida. And yes, we are. And it's conjuring up memories of being here, back in 2002 for the national championship game and the great expectations of Miami winning back-to-back national titles. And whoever would have thought that it would be 23 years later, that Miami would get back in this position in college football, back on the big stage, and have a chance to get to the national championship game in the home stadium, something that we experienced back in the 80s and 90s when some of those national championship games were in the Orange Bowl. And now this one is scheduled for Hard Rock Stadium. And just a lot of general excitement. Canes fans are starting to show up out here, and everyone's having a good time. And the excitement level is insane. And the team arrived last night. And there's a lot of interesting subplots to this because you've got the inside staff that is very delicately having to navigate the transfer portal. And I know a lot of you guys out there are nervous. You're seeing a lot of these teams around the country starting to get commitments from transfers. And, there's a little bit of fear that Miami could get left behind a little bit. And that's reality. This is a very delicate situation. Think about this. You have a football team that is out here in Phoenix, getting ready to play the biggest game that Miami's played in a few decades, and isn't it a little hard to be over here on the side recruiting guys to come in the transfer portal that are going to compete with guys that you're counting on out on the field here this week? So there isn't a ton going on. There's some inquiries that are maybe being made, some conversations being had. You're not going to see Miami getting any commitments this week, okay? And probably we'll have a big visit weekend this next weekend. If Miami wins, the players get a day or two off, and that'll allow the staff, particularly the recruiting staff, to focus on the portal and bring some guys in that they might be interested in. But I don't think you're going to see the transfer portal haul this year that you have seen in the last few years. I don't see Miami getting to 15, 20 players in the portal this year. Could end up being wrong on that, but it doesn't seem to be trending in that direction. All focus in the organization right now is going towards this football game here on Thursday night, and justifiably so, because the stakes are enormous for Miami, obviously. And it's been an interesting game to cover so far because you have an Ole Miss team whose offensive staff is predominantly in Baton Rouge. Coordinator Charlie Weiss is going to coach the game. I believe he is in Scottsdale today, and we're hoping we're going to have a media day later on today, and we're hoping to talk to him a little bit. I'm assuming he's going to show up at media day, but honestly, we don't know for sure because of the way things have been going at Ole Miss from the coaching standpoint, and a lot of questions. Obviously, how is that going to impact the game? How does it impact Miami's preparations for the game? How does it impact Ole Miss to have such a void on the offensive side of the ball in coaching? Covering college football of the Miami Hurricanes for a long time, I've never seen anything close to this. Okay. This is kind of unbelievable. I can't even begin to imagine a football team preparing for a game of this magnitude without half its coaching staff. And imagine the emotions that got to be going through Lane Kiffin also. He leaves to go to the LSU job, and now here's his Ole Miss team that he put together, which I'm going to talk about this in a minute, has an enormous amount of talent. And he's sitting there watching from afar as they contend to go to the national championship game. And, what's he thinking right now? Is he thinking, man, I don't know that I want them to win because I'm here at LSU now, and I want to do it at LSU before they do it at Ole Miss? or is he there cheering for his guys, saying, "Man, I put this team together. I hope they can finish this off and get it done"? Now, you would think if that were the case, 5, 6 coaches or so wouldn't be in Baton Rouge right now recruiting the transfer portal. So they're very much focused on the future at LSU. And so that's a huge, huge subplot just because it's so unprecedented and not something that we've seen before. But it might happen again the way the current modern day system of college football is set up. I mean, you look at the way that they have done this calendar, and been sitting around the last few days, like, wasn't there some way, like, they did this from scratch? Wasn't there some way they could have done this differently? It is putting an enormous amount of stress on the people at Miami. I will tell you that. Because, like, what do they do? Like, the transfer portal is a big part of college football now. You want, just because you're playing to go to the national championship game here this year doesn't mean you don't want to try to do it next year, right? And you've got this system where there's a 2-week window now that people are going into the portal, and the minute the guys are going into the portal, schools are setting up visits. So, you could talk to agents, you could say, "Hey, we're interested, but we're not doing anything till next weekend," and stuff like that. Well, in the meantime, kids are starting to take visits at schools. Kids are starting to commit. So just a crazy, crazy, crazy time. All right, what I want to do here, I figured we're just hanging out here this morning out in Phoenix. We're waiting for Media Day later today. So I thought we'd do a little pop-up podcast here. And if anybody has any questions, post them in the comments, and I'll address them. And I'll also talk a little bit about the game and the team and just what's going on out here. You like the Blue Green Street already. He likes this pullover. Yeah, this is sweet. No argument, man. We checked in last night at media headquarters, and when they gave us our credentials here, they threw this nice pullover at us, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Everybody out here. So you see, the only thing is everybody out here is wearing the same shirt now because you get this thing. Oh, okay, and everybody throws this black pullover on, and so literally everybody walking around. I'm at the Scottsdale JW Marriott, and anybody walking around here is wearing the same shirt. So that's a little bit weird, but yeah, I mean, it was a very nice of the Fiesta people to give us a nice little welcome here. With it comes in handy because temperatures are a little brisk here in the morning. It's warming up fast. They had a little cold spell come through here. It's probably like in the 50s at night. Now it's like trending towards this mid 60s. It'll get up probably to 70 here today, and I mean, you can see behind me, there's not a cloud in the sky. You got mountains. I mean, the biggest thing I'm worried about out here is dodging the bees, because all the bees are in the flowers out here trying to pollinate, and got to try to make sure that we don't get bit, of course. But so Gio Kane says, got to get the Arizona voodoo off us this year. I would say, even though last week's game wasn't in Arizona, but with the stakes involved, the opponent involved, didn't that kind of happen last week? I mean, if you think about it, didn't that voodoo come off by beating Ohio State and getting to this game? I mean, I know we're back in Arizona. It's been a long time, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's a it's an obvious subject to bring up because of the Fiesta Bowl and what happened back in 2002, 2003. But I'm not sure there's anything applicable here. The stadium's different. They're playing in the Arizona Cardinal Stadium, and I mean, it's a subject. I understand why it's coming up, but I'm not too consumed with that out here at the moment. Gio Kane again gets it, man. Focus on the right now, and I think they're making a good decision. They're going to not get a few kids in the transfer portal that they might have otherwise gotten, but and we've been talking about this at CaneSport for a long time. They're getting about at the point here in year 4 of Mario Cristobal that they don't need as much in the portal as they have in years past. You've had some pretty good recruiting class. You got good young players that are coming up, and a lot of them are going to deserve a shot next year. Now, if you're rolling out, let's say, with Hayden Lowe and Marquise Lightfoot at defensive end next year, are they going to be Bain and Mesidor in September? Probably not. Okay. So in an ideal world where all you're doing is looking out for next year's team, you might be saying, man, I would love to have that elite guy in the portal to supplement what I have coming back. You got guys like Malik Bryant that are there, and but that may not be reality because of the fact that you are here now at the Fiesta Bowl, and you have to have respect to your, they're trying to be respectful, okay, of their players. And, how would it look, for example, if Emory Williams threw himself in the portal right now? Now, the players on the current team, they have 5 days, okay, after the last game. They got plenty of time. But how would that look? And, I sent out a tweet this morning. I mean, there's more quarterbacks in the portal than there are Division I teams, okay? And keep in mind, a lot of those Division I teams have their quarterbacks for next year. So you got to be really careful about going into the portal at any point in time. But if you're asking your players to focus on this game and not think about the future and not think about the portal, I'm just using the quarterbacks as an example, it's kind of hard to be over here and have it be portal mania in the same hotel where the team is getting ready, having meetings, having practices to prepare for Thursday night's Fiesta Bowl. So, Gio, yes, you and I are definitely on the same page on that one. Clarence Collins wants to know, is Damari Brown playing? He is questionable right now on the injury report. I got to believe every effort is being made to get him out there. They need DBs in this game. Ole Miss is incredibly talented, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, a very good quarterback that can make a lot of plays with his feet. It's a huge challenge. This Trinidad Chambliss kid he's a load now, and Miami's done a good job with quarterbacks that are run pass threats. And to me, this guy's even a little bit different, than some of the other guys that they have faced this year, even more so of a run pass threat. Corey Heatherman's going to have a good game plan. He's been consistent in that regard. They're going to have to decide at times, when do you go after him hard? When do you contain him? Setting the edge is going to be very, very important, I think, in this game. Keep him from getting outside. If he's outside, he's running around. They get a lot of yards on broken plays. And, huge premium on DBs being healthy and playing. OJ Frederick is going to be out there. If they can have Damari Brown out there as well, I think that would be a huge thing for Miami. Canes Cats wants to know about thoughts on the quarterback situation. How many quarterbacks are we expecting to hit the portal? The one we don't know about is Emory Williams. Okay, now Emory Williams could go in the portal and probably get some interest. Okay, but to me, his value as a football player is much higher at Miami than if he went to like an FAU or an FIU or Coastal Carolina or wherever he might go. He's probably going to make less money, and there's no guarantees. I mean, look at Jake Garcia. He left Miami to go be a transfer. Was never heard from again. Tyler Van Dyke, I know he got to go to Wisconsin and got hurt, but last time I saw him, he's sitting on the bench at SMU this year when we were in Dallas. So, the grass is not always greener, man. And to me, the onus is on the advisors, the parents. You got to be careful who you have advising you, for starters, if you're these guys. you got to be like, I'm a parent, you got to, but like, I'm not sitting here projecting my kids to go be an Olympic sprinter. It's like, you got to be realistic um, on capabilities. You have to be able to balance your dreams and hopes for your kids with reality. Okay. And Emory Williams has enormous value to Miami as a backup quarterback right now. And if they don't go get somebody in the transfer portal, which I don't think is 100% locked, I mean, listen, you're spending $35-40 million on next year's team. That's what it's become in college football now. It would be malpractice if you didn't try to make sure you had the best quarterback out there next season. But there's no guarantees that Miami's going to get that guy. You're already starting to see guys fall off the board. There aren't that many elite quarterbacks right now. It doesn't seem this year. So it's not out of the question that they decide, let's roll with Emory and Luke and Judd, and we got Darian Coleman coming in, and let's give these guys a shot. And that wouldn't shock me either. If they bring in a transfer quarterback, you might see a guy like Judd Anderson go in the portal, possibly Emory. I think Luke is solid. There's no reason, he's a true freshman right now. There's no reason for him to be thinking about anything but continuing to develop, continuing to learn the offense, studying college football. You got a chance to watch Carson Beck this year. So it could be 0 in the portal. It could be 1. It could be 2. We don't really know yet. I think Miami would like everybody to come back. And, you need 4 or 5 quarterbacks in your program. And those guys, and they're probably willing to pay those guys to stay. Because quarterbacks command, a little bit more money than your backup quarterback's going to get more money than your backup safety or backup running back, typically, or, backup offensive lineman. So we'll see how it plays out. I can't give you an exact number. I can't give you an exact prediction. I mean, I'm sure Judd Anderson's thinking about it. I'm sure Emory's thinking about it. But will they actually follow through and do it? I hope they do not, because, I think that their greatest value is here as Miami Hurricanes. And if Judd were my kid, I'd say get an education at Miami, make some money through NIL, and be part of a good program and see how you develop. And then when you get down to your last year, if you haven't become a starter at Miami and you want to go take a shot somewhere else, you should already have your degree by then. And go ahead and do it at that point, and roll the dice on it. So I hope it plays out that way. Emory's a little further along. He probably can stay here one more year and continue. I think he's already graduated, if I'm not mistaken. So he'd be working on a graduate education now. So think about this. If you're Emory Williams, and let's say, and I don't know what his exact NIL number is, but I'm going to guess somewhere in the $400,000 or $500,000 range. Okay. Like if you could put $1 million, $1.5 million in the bank while you're in college, get your graduate degree, get your undergraduate degree, and then maybe a graduate degree. What's wrong with that? Like if he were my son, that's what I would be telling him to do. And then final year, you want to go take a shot somewhere else and see if you're good enough to go be the quarterback at Wake Forest or NC State. You just pick one. Then at that point, go ahead. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter, So, that's my thoughts, Canes, Cats, on the quarterback situation. We got Crashlight giving us injury report here. Let's see. OJ probable, yes. Ahmad and Damari are questionable. My gut on Ahmad is he will be out there. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. He was walking around fine after the game in Dallas. Damari, I'm not sure about. I know that they're doing everything they can to get him healthy so that he can play. But, until we get to Thursday night, we probably won't know. Let's see what this is here. Gio Kane again, our former tight end committed to Indiana. Brock Schott. Great move for Brock Schott. Okay, I like him. He's a really good player, really nice kid. The way Miami is running offense now, it's not a good fit at all for Brock Schott. And I think he made a great move going in the portal, going to Indiana. That's a great landing spot for him. Wish him the best. Great family, great kid. No reason for anybody to wish Brock Schott anything but the best in what he did. All right, let's see here. Blue Green Street wants me to make some recommendations for Scottsdale. Well, it depends what you like. If you want to play golf, there's a lot of great choices. You go TPC Scottsdale. The Camelback courses are great. I went out to Camelback yesterday afternoon when the first thing I did, I went from the airport right to Camelback just to get around the golf in because what the hell, we're in Phoenix, and it was spectacular. I mean, just it's from the actual playing golf, it's not like that different than playing golf in South Florida. But the ball just rolls forever out here, and you get extra yardage, and there's no water, very few lakes and stuff, so there's hardly any trouble. So even if you're not driving it well, you still get decent yardage, and it's hitting a lot of short irons into the green. And I'm about a 90 player typically. Was getting a lot of short shots into the greens. I shot an 83 yesterday on the golf course. Okay, might as good a number as I've ever had in my life. It was so much fun. But yeah, so golf, a lot of golf choices. The Camelback courses are very nice. There's a casino out here called what the hell's the name of that place? Give me a minute here. I'll give you the name of the place. It's Turning Stick. Okay, they have Turning Stick Resort Hotel Casino. Going to be heading there tonight. Check that out. But they also have a golf course there that I'm told is great. Probably not going to get there myself, but you could check that out if you're a golfer. Places to eat. They got a what's it called? Maple and Vine Steakhouse out here that's supposed to be spectacular. They have a Mastro's City Hall. I don't know if you've ever eaten at Mastro's. Mastro's is always great, no matter where you go. They're in several spots around the country. Mastro's is really, really good. I think I'm going to check that out maybe tomorrow night. Maybe tomorrow night. But beyond that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of good places. I'm not a maven on Phoenix or Scottsdale restaurants, but those two I know are spectacular. If you're looking for just a place to go for dinner, I would recommend those two. Let me see here. I just want to. Somebody's asking me about Omar Thornton. He followed us back on Twitter. This is the defensive back from Rutgers. He followed us back on Twitter, and he visited this past weekend. So I felt pretty favorable about it at that point. But after he left his visit, he went dark on us, and we have not been able to speak to him. So I don't know. I feel better about the wide receiver from South Carolina, and I think he'd be a nice little pickup. Speed receiver, a guy that can blow the top open and hit big plays down the field. Again, same issue now. He did visit. He was one of two visitors last weekend that they took, but like I said, very limited portal activity for the reasons that we already talked about. I don't really have thoughts, Kane's Cat, on this one. I mean, I would have said I felt favorable about it a couple days ago. Being that we were not able to speak to him after his visit, then I can't really give you a really strong opinion on that at this time. But we'll see how that plays out as the days go forward. All right, Chris Sullivan, he's saying Kane's got to play ball control in this game, control the clock. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an obvious game plan, but I think you also got to consider a couple things. One, that's the first thing Ole Miss is preparing for. Okay, like they have made no secrets about it. They want to shut down the Miami run game. All right, so I think it's going to take more than that to win this football game. I think that this is an explosive offense that can make a lot of big plays on improvisation. They can improvise a lot. That's a better way to phrase it. This quarterback gets a lot of hidden yardage on broken plays, and the Miami defense can be playing great, but if he scrambles around and a receiver gets loose and they pick up 25 yards or something, they're going to score some points. I mean, let me give you some quick details here on the Ole Miss offense. Number 2 offense in the country. They scored 30 or more points in every game this year except 2. Okay, LSU held them to 24. LSU had a pretty decent defense, and Washington State caught their bad game, and held them. But they scored 34 points against Florida, 38 against Mississippi State. Wait, gotta give me a minute here. I got something's malfunctioning on me. Oh boy. All right. Listen, guys, this might be a short one because I'm seeing here um, that we got a power issue with the socket over here. So, but I'll continue this as long as the juice holds up, which won't be too much longer. We'll do another one of these later today. But just to be quick, the bottom line is they are very very explosive on offense, and I think Miami could have to score points in this game, and you're not going to be able to just do it running the football. So ball control makes sense, but I think they're going to All right, we're back. Yeah. Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. It was weird as hell. The power just went out in the middle of the damn in the middle of my conversation. But anyway, so yeah, so back to the game plan. Um, so yeah, like Miami would love to run the ball, and if it can get out of this game and run offense the way it's been running offense the last few weeks, I mean, we've seen it work. I mean, they've beaten Texas A&M, they beat Ohio State. I mean, it works. I mean, it's a very productive way for Miami to play offense this year. But this team that they're playing Thursday night is a little bit different, and Ole Miss's explosiveness gives them a chance to put some points on the board against the Miami defense. As good as it is, you may need to score in the 30s to win this game. If we're being honest, like I was saying before we were interrupted, 34 points against Florida, 38 against Mississippi State, 41 in the first round of the playoffs against Tulane, and then here's the one you got to really look at. Okay, 39 points last week against Georgia. All right, so I think if you're Shannon Dawson and Mario Cristobal, you need to be prepared to score in this game. I mean, they only lost the regular season. They lost to Georgia 43-35 in a shootout. Georgia's got a decent defense. I mean, I know these numbers are insane, but this is a team that wins by outscoring you. Their win margin is 37.6 to 20.4. They average 496 yards a game. They're ranked number 2 nationally in total offense, number 3 in passing offense. And get this, they're still, even as much as they throw the ball, and everyone knows Lane Kiffin likes to throw the ball, they are 37th in rush offense as well, and 10th in scoring offense. So the point is, without getting long-winded here about the stats, is this is obviously a team that can score in bunches. And, I think that, Miami has to be prepared here to to score points in this game. All right, so let's see here. I just gotta find my spot where we were on the questions before. Does the team look locked in? Yes, absolutely, they're locked in. They are very process oriented at Miami right now, and they got caught a little bit in the middle of the season. I think when you look at those games that they lost, the bye weeks, played a impact in those games. I mean, you're talking about playing, having a bye week, playing a game, having another bye week. It's a lot of sitting around time for players that are used to playing every single week, and but that hasn't been a problem since then. You've seen them; they're basically been playing playoff football the whole stretch here, and so I don't think you have to worry about focus. I don't think you have to worry about locked in. And getting back to what I was talking about earlier, I think the organization, the coaches, the staffers are doing the best they can do as it relates to the portal to just keep it very down low key, and not let the portal be a distraction as well. So Donta Simpson sadly abandoning the team in the middle of the playoffs. I was surprised by that one. Look, here's the truth of the situation. Donta Simpson was having a decent freshman year. He was a nice prospect. To me, he's a little bit of an undersized defensive tackle, okay? And his value, because of that, is limited. I mean, so the way this played out was before they got to the playoffs, they started working on the NIL deals for next year of their current team. And the best approach for that now in college football is you pick out your best 25, 30 players, and you make sure you have them locked in before the portal opens up. So maybe Donta Simpson wasn't happy with his number. Like, I don't know, what inspires a kid to walk out on his team when you're in the middle of the college football playoff. I don't have the answer for that. He looked out for number one in that case. Was it the right thing? I don't think so. I mean, the NCAA gives you a 5-day window to where you can go in the portal after the last game. So why do you have to leave your team in the middle of the playoffs? Chance Robinson, why were you in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl and you come home from Dallas and you go in the portal? Like, I don't understand that. Like, it wasn't necessary. But, listen, this is a new system in college football. It's unprecedented ground, and we're going to see things that we haven't seen before. And kids leaving their teams in the middle of a playoff run is certainly one of them. All right, let's see here. Starflaw 23. He wants to. Do you trust your eyes on Ole Miss, or do they deceive you? They don't deceive you on offense. They're coming, man. They're looking for big plays. They're playing Lane Kiffin football. I mean, he might be at LSU now, but they're running the Lane Kiffin offense, and they're coming, and they're looking to score. And there's nothing to deceive anybody. You got to control that quarterback. You have to try to keep him in the pocket, keep him from hurting you with broken plays. It's the broken plays that could hurt Miami in this game. I feel pretty good about when the Canes are running Corey Heatherman's schemes and executing what he likes to do. I think that Miami's in a good place in that regard. But this kid can wreak a lot of havoc with his feet. And once he gets outside the pocket and it's scramble ball, they're going to hit some plays. It's very hard for the DBs to hold up under that. So for Miami, to me, that's the key of the game. How do they approach offense? Are they prepared to score enough points against a team that can score points in bunches? And then also, controlling the quarterback, keeping him in the pocket, and limiting the broken plays for big plays. All right. David Everett wants to know, what are the chances with Bama quarterback Ty Simpson? Man, every projection that I see on that kid, he's earmarked to go in the top 10, 15, 20 picks of the NFL draft in April. If that's the real evaluation, and I certainly haven't asked any NFL scouts about him since he's at Alabama, but if that's a true evaluation, like, why would he stay in college? I mean, he's got to go into the NFL. So I would say that's a long shot. I mean, if by some weird circumstance he ends up in the transfer portal, I think he's the kind of kid that Miami would go hard after and make a big play for. But I honestly don't. I personally don't see it happening. I don't know. I'd be shocked if a kid who's earmarked to go in the first round of the NFL draft decided to stay in college and then go into the transfer portal. I mean, he'll make $5 million. He will make $5 million if he goes in the portal, and maybe that's a new way of looking at it. But I mean, I'd be shocked if that kid, ended up in the portal. Artavius Jones, Martin Dube wants to talk about Artavius Jones here. Yeah, man. When Damian Lewis became the defensive tackle coach, Artavius Jones was a key project for him, and they really wanted to develop Artavius Jones, and then he got hurt. So where he's at right now, I don't really know. I haven't honestly paid a lot of attention to that here in the stretch of the season. Is he the type of kid that might go in the portal after this is all over? I don't know. I mean, he shouldn't. I mean, he's only been held back by injuries. So if I were Artavius, I would stay. I would go through spring practice and fall practice. I would see how I can develop under Damian Lewis, and and then let the chips fall where they may. Emory needs to play. All right. So listen, I talked about this earlier. Let's look at it from this point of view, and I'm going to pop Mr. Valentine up here too. He makes an interesting point here. Emory might go with Brian Hartline. South Florida would be probably a good landing spot for Emory. I could see something like that playing out. But do you think Emory Williams is the only quarterback that Brian Hartline, and I'm just going to use South Florida as an example because Mr. Valentine's bringing it up. You think Brian Hartline getting the South Florida job, that Emory Williams is going to be the only quarterback that he goes out and recruits? I don't think so. Okay. So what if he is able to go recruit a quarterback who is better than Emory Williams? Okay. Now what? So you're Emory Williams and you walked out of Miami, fine. You probably, in a situation like that, maybe you'd get a comparable NIL deal. And again, I saw another question about I threw out a 500 figure. That's like the typical market for a backup quarterback. I'm assuming that his NIL deal is somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know. I don't have the contract. I don't know what his number is. But this is the tough decision that Emory Williams has to make because people might, especially a coach coming into a school as a new head coach who's looking to probably recruit multiple guys. He might want to take a shot with Emory Williams. So, going back to Brad, yes, we could say Emory needs to play. Emory also can make a lot of money as a backup quarterback at Miami. So he and his family, they have to decide, what's the best thing for them. Very good point, Brad. 345. I agree with you. Okay. Now, everybody in the fan base has this vision of Emory Williams as what we saw in the bowl game last year. And listen, we haven't seen a lot of them, so I understand that. I've seen a little bit more, and I've seen him in practice, and he's significantly better than he was in the bowl game last year. And, I think what happened was that Cam Ward went through the whole preparation, and Emory was not ready to play in that game. He was not proper prepared. And this is astonishing to me. They didn't know that Cam Ward was going to take himself out at halftime. Like there was no plan for that. Okay. So now you got this kid who's thrown into the fray against what was a pretty decent defense last year in Iowa State. He's thrown out there. And then remember, all of the other good players on offense also took themselves out of the game. He's playing with backup players. They weren't prepared. They didn't go through proper practice for the game, and he smelled the place up. And Shannon Dawson didn't have his best half against in that chaotic situation either. And so now everybody out here in the fan base, oh God, Emory sucks. It can't be. Emory can't play. Emory go to the portal. I never want to see Emory again. This is not a Ja'Cory Brown situation. Okay, Emory Williams is very capable of functioning as a college football quarterback. Is he Cam Ward? Absolutely not. But he has worked incredibly hard at his game. He spent the whole offseason getting athletically better and can actually do better with his feet than Carson Beck, quite honestly. Emory's a much better runner when he has to scramble than Carson Beck. Yeah, I wouldn't even say his stats in the Clemson and FSU games as a true freshman because he was a true freshman. That was a watered down game plan back then. And he held up fine. Now, are you going to be able to go through an entire season playing offense the way they played offense in those two games? No chance. Okay. But he's now a couple years further along, has had hundreds of practice hours. And so we don't really know, how Emory would do now at this stage of his career. But I don't think it's a disaster by any stretch of the imagination. I think if he's competing with Luke Nickel in spring practice to start next year, that's not a disastrous situation. So I would say stay open-minded on Emory. Don't be so strong in negative opinions on him. It's really unfair to the kid, especially if he stays at Miami and is competing in the spring and stuff. It's not a healthy environment when all the fans think you suck. I'm telling you, he doesn't suck. Okay, if somebody sucks, I'm happy to say it. Okay, Tate Martell, he sucked. Okay, Ja'Cory Brown, he sucked. All right, Emory Williams doesn't suck. Okay, and neither does Luke Nickel. And if they go into spring with those two guys competing and they don't get somebody in the portal, can you win the national title with a quarterback at that stage of development? I'm not going to predict that by any stretch of the imagination. But is it a total disaster? No. All right, so let's see here. All right, so Judd's getting 200,000. I don't know what Judd's getting. That's probably the market for a quarterback. You got to remember, these kids are recruited out of high school. So you're talking about a quarterback coming out of high school, and that's probably the NIL that a standard quarterback coming out of high school. I bet you Luke Nickel got a bigger number than that. Much more competitive recruiting situation, much more highly touted quarterback. I would bet that he got a little more than that. Okay, Chris Bradford. If we get a little more dynamic at quarterback, we can see a return to the 2023 offense. Look, Shannon Dawson. I don't know how many of you guys had a chance to read the column I wrote about him a couple days ago, but he is an air raid disciple. Okay, in the air raid, you throw the football. Okay, he has evolved at Miami to include power run game. That's what Cristobal wants. That's what Mirabal wants. And he has taken those Alabama power run game concepts and incorporated them into his air raid mindset in the passing game. Okay. So like running offense the way they ran it with Cam Ward, you're not going to have to convince Shannon Dawson to do that. Okay. But that's not the personnel they had this year. So he's had to evolve. They've run really 2-3 different offenses this year, if you think about it. He started out in Notre Dame, run pass balance, threw for, I think it was 205 yards in that game, had the play to CJ Daniels with the one-handed catch. He had the touchdown play to Malachi Toney, and a lot of running game as well, and it worked. They beat Notre Dame. They really controlled Notre Dame. I mean, it was a 3-point game. It wasn't a 3-point game in the way it really was played. Like, they were at least 2 touchdowns better than Notre Dame, and that's why I laugh at this whole controversy coming into the playoff with Notre Dame lobbying to get in and all that. If Notre Dame was going to make an argument, like, they know they were dominated by Miami. If they were going to make an argument, it should have been, we deserve to be in and over Alabama, and we saw how Alabama, crapped out, pretty badly, and clearly did not belong in the playoff. Notre Dame should have gotten in ahead of Alabama. But my point is that, like Shannon Dawson would love to run offense like that, but you start out like that, and then when Carson Beck had the horrible game against Louisville, I think that was a game changer. I think it's spooked. I mean, nobody would admit it or not admit it. I don't know, but to my eye, it's spooked, and understandably. I mean, 4 interceptions, really through 5, if you count the one that got wiped off, and you lost to Louisville, and now your whole season is dangling by a string. And we see how good this team is. We're here at the Fiesta Bowl, Phoenix, Final Four. We see how good this team is, and it almost all went up in smoke. But that had a carryover effect to SMU, because in the SMU game, and I put a lot of synergy with this game they're going to play Thursday night, because Ole Miss is even massively better on offense than SMU is capable of being, with Rhett Lashley calling plays and getting some of the explosives that they get. Miami have scored 20 points in that game. Okay, that's not going to cut it. Miami scores 20 points on Thursday night. They're not going to win, in my opinion. I don't see another defensive slugfest in this game. I really don't. After going and peeling it all the way back then, now you go to the offense number 3 of the season, that you're still running the ball with Fletcher when he's healthy, and Pringle, and Marty Brown spotted in, but they've strategically been using the passing game also. So Shannon Dawson's had to do a lot of things this year, but in terms of dynamic, I think he would love dynamic. I think he would love to throw the ball more, and maybe get back to having 300-yard passing games instead of 200. I think right now you got to deal with what you got. Amsterdam? What the hell are you doing in Amsterdam, Mike? We got a football game here in Phoenix on Thursday night. Catch the next damn flight, get your butt here to the desert, and come to the game and support your team. What the hell are you doing in Amsterdam? All right. So, and man, I can't believe. And if you are in Amsterdam, with everything there is to do there, why the hell are you watching this podcast? I'm just kidding, obviously, but let's see here. Let's see. People don't understand that our defense is the best we have. Playmakers on all levels of the defense, no question. Okay, there's no question we do. And when Bain and Mesidor are playing the way Bain and Mesidor have been playing in the playoffs, it's very hard to move the ball on this Miami offense. But this is, Miami defense. But this is the best offense that they have played this year. And you know, the amazing thing to me is that Trinidad Chambliss, he comes from Division II, and you know, he just re-signed with Ole Miss to go back there, and you know, that really caught people by surprise because you know, Mel Kiper, for example, has him as the number 6 prospect in the draft. So you know, his stock could not be higher than it is right now. He averages 261 yards through the air, has 21 touchdown passes. The thing that jumps out at me with Trinidad Chambliss, only 3 interceptions the entire season, man. And as much as they freewheel it at Ole Miss, that kid only threw 3 interceptions, that's something to respect. And then on top of it, he's got 520 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. So, yeah, the Miami defense is great. Miami defense has playmakers at every level. This is a different beast that they are going to face on Thursday night, and that's okay. I mean, it's the Final Damn Four. Like, you're supposed to be playing good teams. Like, what's the where's the issue? You know. Let's see here. Canes up, Knowles down. We'll buy into that name. Miami has best defense in the country. Don't care what anybody says. When it comes to making plays, best defense in the country. Might be, and they're going to need to make plays on Thursday night. But I would be prepared for some things to go against them too. I mean, it's not going to be. I don't see this playing out like the Texas A&M game or the Ohio State game. I really don't. I'm sounding like a broken record here, but I have a lot of respect for what this Ole Miss offense can do. All right, Larry Doss, you're already worried about Indiana, huh? Is Brock Schott going to give them inside info? Man, I'll tell you what, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I think that's a concern. I mean, he's going to be on campus there. If they make the national championship game against Miami, he will be there. And yeah, that could definitely happen. But we won't know for sure. so why probably don't need to worry about it at this point. What's my handicap? Honestly, it depends how many mulligans I take. Now, I usually shoot about 90, but there's no need to take mulligans. There's no need to take mulligans out here. There's like not a lot of trouble. I mean, you have beauty, you have mountains, you have a lot of natural grass on these golf courses out here. You got some little elevation, especially the greens. Seem to are heavily contoured, but there's just not a lot of trouble. So whatever your handicap is, if you're coming out here to play golf, you can probably exceed it. Okay. Just because you're not going to be in trouble a lot. Which conference refs are doing this game? I do not know yet. I'm guessing it they had SEC last game, so maybe they'll have Big 12, possibly in this one. It could be Big 10 as well. I have not seen yet what they're doing official wise for this game. All right, this one I got to pull up. J-Rock, we have the dumbest portal strategy happening right now. Now, why, man? I don't know if you were on the show earlier, but why would you call this a dumb portal strategy? Think about this. You have 85 football players approximately. You got walk-ons and stuff. I'm getting, the numbers ballpark 85 that are sitting there right now preparing for the biggest game this program's played in 20 some odd years. Okay. What you think that they're supposed to be out there left and right, grabbing players? I mean, listen, we've been trying to cover it a little bit. I mean, obviously we owe that to you guys, and we have to do it. But every name that pops up of a player that's considering Miami in the portal right now is a distraction or a potential distraction. You've got all these guys out there practicing for this game Thursday night. They don't want to be hearing about a kid from Rutgers or a kid from Clemson or, planning on coming to Miami and taking their job next year. No, that is something that they are very, very badly trying to avoid here. And they're doing a pretty good job of it. I mean, we've had to cover it a little bit. We can't just totally ignore it, but we're trying to be judicious in that as well. We'll have plenty of time this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to hit the portal hard and I don't see what other strategy that they could have than what they're doing right now, because you don't want to distract, from this team. Canes up, nose down says we already have players out of the portal committed. They just haven't announced any of them yet. The two that visited this weekend are candidates in that regard. No argument, and I don't see any problem with that at all. All right, Gumby, great point here. Louisville SMU, hurry up offense. Kind of put Miami's defense on its heels a little bit. I think we're going to see a lot of tempo on Thursday night, and this goes along with what I've been saying. Is I think they're going to have to score points to win this game. I really do, and I think they're going to have to be prepared to cut Carson Beck loose a little bit and rely on him not to throw interceptions. It's a different game. This isn't Texas A&M, and it's not Ohio State. And the defense is going to have to be ready for tempo. And but Heatherman's going to have them ready. Listen, Corey Heatherman has had that defense ready for every game this year. Okay, I don't see this one being an exception. Jake's pointing out that Ole Miss can erase leads quickly. They can. Yeah, they absolutely can. And so sustained drives, keep them on the sideline. It'll be an ass whooping. I'm not going to sit here and predict an ass whooping, but I mean, if you could put together 5, 6, 7-minute drives, absolutely would obviously be advantageous to win in this game. This is a good one, Lenoris Murray. Man, you give me a hard time in those YouTube comments too, but this is a really good point you're making. The Miami linebackers need to step up in this game. They are the ones that are going to have to be on point. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with the broken plays. They're going to have to make the decisions on the fly. When do you go after the quarterback? When do you stay in coverage? So yes, I totally agree with that. If they can't stop our run game, they're in big trouble. They know that. I mean, they're not even keeping it a secret. I mean, the Ole Miss defensive coordinator yesterday made it very clear that he knows he has to stop Miami's run game. Like, if Mark Fletcher's running for 175 yards against Ole Miss, they're in trouble. Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's going to be the foundation of the Ole Miss game plan. They're going to want to make Miami throw the ball. They're going to want to test Carson Beck's decision-making process, his ability to not throw interceptions. I mean, if you're looking at the entire body of work from Miami this year, you're looking at that Louisville. Honestly, Ole Miss could look at two games. They're looking at SMU and they're looking at Louisville. How did those two teams beat this Miami team, which is pretty damn good? Okay, Miami was number 2 in the country when it ran into those problems in the middle of the season, and it was not by accident. They were a legit number 2 team at that point, and they're probably a legit number 1, 2, or 3 team right now. And so you're looking at the formula for how those teams got it done. And, they're going to want to make Carson Beck win the game. Like, they're not going to, they're going to load up. I'll be shocked if they don't load up to make Miami throw the ball. And Miami's going to have to be ready, I believe, with more passing game than they've had to have the last couple weeks. This is a funny terminology here, but I do agree. Okay, Ole Miss has a safety. I can't pronounce his name. He is ass cheeks. Okay, they're gonna whoop him like Michael Irvin with a belt. Miami should have some opportunities, and again, that goes with the passing game. Okay, if Ole Miss is loading up to stop the run, it's been shown that you could score on their defense. Okay, and Miami is going to have opportunities to hit big plays in the passing game in this game. Carson Beck's got to get it done, man. That's what he's here for. If he's on point and he's delivering the ball accurately, they will make big plays. But that has not always been the case, and there is a reason why these coaches, had a pretty tight rein on this offense the second half of the season. And he's only had one interception, by the way, the second half of the season. So what they've been doing in coaching him and getting him, he's shown his maturity by buying into what they've been doing. He realized, I think, that it can't be all about him after the Louisville game, where he kind of lost his mind a little bit, quite honestly, and threw all those interceptions. It can't be all about him. And he has done a great job conforming. He's only had one interception in the second half of the season. But I think they're going to have to cut him loose a little bit more on Thursday night. And all right. So Alec Cohn, you're giving me a mission, I guess, we got Ole Miss Media Day, I think about 7:00 Miami time later today. And you are putting me on blast. You want me to go in there and ask some leading questions and get some bulletin board material to get the Canes going in this game. I'll tell you what, I don't think the Canes need bulletin board material. This team is very motivated, very focused. They know what they're playing for. You've seen the effort level cranked up. I don't think I need to do that, quite honestly. If I see an opportunity, I promise you I will, but I don't think they need bulletin board material. Jabari, Antoine, and Dylan Day are going to step it up. Those Dylan Day's been great on special teams all year. I don't know how much you're going to see them out there. Obviously, they may need Antoine a little bit of cornerback, but I don't know, that those guys are really going to impact the game. All right, let me see here. Give me a minute here. We're going to run some fake screens. I'm not sure what you mean, Gumby, by fake screens. You mean maybe fake bubble screens? Oh, these messages were up during our electric blackout here that we had for a few minutes earlier in the show. Let's see here. When Ole Miss defense gave 24 to a sorry Florida team and 35 to Arkansas. Remember who was calling the plays for Arkansas now. Don't disrespect Bobby Petrino. But yes, their defense is not the strength of their team is their offense. No doubt about it. So Canes up, Knowles down, says the national championship game is at Hard Rock. Man, how cool would that be if we're sitting here on Friday talking about hosting the national championship game at Hard Rock in 10 days? I mean, we had that. We had the benefit of that back in the national championship runs way back when they had those games at the Orange Bowl. And I'll tell you, to this day, that Orange Bowl Stadium, the night of the 1983 national championship game against Nebraska, I have never experienced anything like the electricity that was in that stadium tonight. And then, number two would probably be the 2017 Notre Dame game. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was the night when everybody realized, hey, we can't make the excuse anymore that Miami's playing at Hard Rock Stadium and doesn't have a home field, because they had a home field that night, okay? So we haven't heard any nonsense about Hard Rock not being capable of a home field since 2017. And that applies to the Dolphins too, because they're absolute horse shit. Okay. And they're embarrassing. And I'm a season ticket holder. And I feel like they're literally stealing my money. Okay. Like I bought season tickets. I like to take my kids to the games, whatever. Like that is a hot garbage product right now. So, but Hard Rock can be a true home field. And it would be so cool to see Hard Rock Stadium with Miami playing for the national title. God, man, just keep your fingers crossed that it happens. And, they can't stop the run worth a damn. Run the ball, put together long drives, chew the clock. Yeah, you could stop the run if you put numbers, okay? Like, yeah, they may not be on face value the greatest run defense in America, but if they're loading the box with numbers and they're focusing on the A and B gaps and the inside runs that Miami loves to run, they could slow down the run game. And, I think that you have to respect what they might do defensively. These guys aren't stupid. You got a head coach that's been a high quality defensive coordinator for a long time. And I think you have to respect that they're coming in with a game plan, and their game plan is going to be built around stopping the Miami run game. Seeing a lot of tubing on defensive line to keep Bain and you're probably talking about rotating. Man, I'll tell you, those guys don't like to come out. And they rotated them a little bit in the Ohio State game, but the thing is, like, those guys, and like I know when I was asked coming into playoffs about Ruben Bain, and listen, like there was a drop off in his effort at times. We see what he is capable of doing, what we've seen the last two games. Okay, but they can't. They're human beings, man. They can't sustain that the entire game. All right. So, but what you have to say is, am I better off with Ruben Bain out on the field setting the edge? He can conserve energy and still set the edge than rolling in, Lightfoot for example. And, I think that they do. And I'm not looking at the play counts right now on Lightfoot, but like they do roll him in at times to sub those guys out and give them a blow. But those are your best football players, and you're playing to go to the national championship. And I think you want them out there as much as possible. All right, Cane's up, Knowles down, man. He's rocking today. Wants to lay the wood on Trinidad early, so he can. You think that'll be a little bit of the agenda if you can get a clean lick on our buddy Trinidad? I feel pretty confident that yes, they will take it. Cole McConaughey ready to play again? He might be, but I don't. At this point of the season, I don't think that that we're going to see a lot of him in this game. Bear with me for a minute. This is an interesting question. Will JoJo Trader stick around? I think he will. Cane's up says he seems to think that JoJo's having fun with the team. He's always still smiling. I mean, this year has not even come close to going the way that he, of course, expected. But there's no signs he's going to the portal. But you'll be holding your breath on that one, because somebody will come after him and somebody will offer him money, and it's going to depend on what he wants to do. But you're not going to know till after the season's over, and you have that 5-day window. You'll be sweating out that's one of the kids you'll sweat out, that 5-day window with, no question about it. Listen, Darian Coleman's a nice young prospect, Chris Brown, but you can't count on him next year. He's got to build his body. He's got to learn with college football. We'll see. Matt Merritt leaving. Okay, so listen, there's going to be people come after coaches. There's no doubt about it. Matt Merritt is an obvious target for a lot of people, has done an exceptional job. Is he ready to go be a coordinator? I don't know. I don't know why he would leave if he's going to just go be the running backs coach somewhere else. So we'll see. I'm not going to start, predicting coaches that might leave and, that kind of thing. But there, other than to say that there will be people that do come after some of the Miami coaches. This is Mario's best staff without question. Okay, so they're going to come after Miami coaches. Obvious thing for them to do. Can the new recruits play? No, they cannot. They won't be out there. No, you're not putting Jackson Cantwell in the game. Can they legally play? I don't think so. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But practically, you're not going to see any true freshmen who just walked on campus playing in the game on Thursday night, for sure. This is interesting. I need a sip of water here for a minute. I want to talk about this one. Using the tight end. Okay, there's certain things that Miami has not done at all this year. Tight end has been as close to invisible as possible in the offense, number one. We haven't seen screen passes to the running backs at all. We haven't seen a lot of draw plays, okay? So there are things that they can whip out at any time just by, if they're not, prominent in the offense, they can be tweaked into the offensive stuff that Miami can do in this game that Ole Miss would not be prepared for. Okay, and I'm a huge fan of that, just because of what I've said, that I think they have to be prepared to score points, and will they do it? I mean, they haven't done it this year. Have they featured the tight end? They haven't done it this year. Could they suddenly do it in a given game? 100%. Do they have the personnel? 100%. Elijah Lofton could do so much more than what he's doing. And a kid that I really like, who I don't know that we're going to see him Thursday, but man, I hope that he gets a big offseason focus, because I think he could be a really good player next year, is Luka Gilbert. He's a big, lanky tight end with a huge radius. And I just think this kid could really, really, really be good. And I don't know that it'll happen for Thursday night, but I hope that at some point in the offseason that he really gets fast-tracked and they put a lot of effort into him. That he becomes much more prominent in what Miami is doing. Let's see here. This would be a great development. Cane's up again. Cane's up. You and I should be having a private chat here, man. You're monopolizing all the chat space. But no, I'm just kidding. But CJ Daniels is a big player in this game, and it goes along the lines of what I've been saying in the potential need to score points. CJ Daniels, if you got to figure Ole Miss is going to key on Tony, just like Ohio State did. Basically took him out of the game. I mean, he did a nice job on a couple opportunities, really did a good job in a couple blocking opportunities, but Ole Miss is going to focus on him. I think you have to be prepared for Malachi Tony to be a bit player, if they do their job defensively. CJ Daniels is the guy that can jump into that window, and Marion also. Keelan Marion could jump into that as well. Miami could need a lot more from those other receivers, and I would say they will need more. And so certainly something to look for if Ole Miss is successful executing a game plan on if they're able to execute their game plan on defense. Lenoris Murray wants to know, why doesn't Miami go up tempo on offense? They can if they want to. For whatever reason, Shannon Dawson hasn't felt the need to go to that at this point. Could it happen Thursday night? It could, and we could start seeing some tempo on Thursday night. Just not really the offense and the personnel to really do a ton of that, though, and I think that's why we haven't seen so much of it this year. Not every offense is built to go up tempo, but they can do it if they want to. Let's put it that way. If he feels that it's advantageous to scoring and points, I think it is something that we could see. Man, how beautiful would some 3-and-outs be? 904. No doubt about it, man. That would be just what the doctor ordered. Kane's got to try to get out front in this game and make Ole Miss panic a little bit, and we'll see what happens. Biggie, yes, we do. They do have the players to get after Mr. Chambliss, and I'm sure that will be a big part of the agenda. Let's see. Interesting point here about Zachariah Branch, the Georgia wide receiver, from Chris Bradford. Zachariah Branch had some success in that game last week, and a lot of similarities between the way he plays and the way Malachi Toney plays. And so if you're looking for clues, but I'm not sure Zachariah Branch was a focal point of the Ole Miss defense the way that Malachi Toney will be on Thursday night. So, if you're looking at Miami's offense, you got to stop Malachi Toney and you got to shut down their run game. And if they can still beat you with everything else, you're going to have to live with it. Pete Golding has got to be sitting there looking at this and saying, I got to stop the run game and I got to slow down Malachi Toney, take the big plays out of the Miami offense by Toney, and make C.J. Daniels, make Keelan Marion be the guys that beat me. Great material from Dawson. Yeah, I love interviewing that guy. He's awesome. He'll be at Media Day today. We'll see. If I can get a one-on-one with him, I will. I mean, we've written about him a lot, and I've done a lot of videos with him. But if I can get a one-on-one, I will definitely shoot another one with Shannon Dawson. I can't talk to that guy enough. He's awesome. And yeah, we have a lot of fun. People think he gets on me and stuff. We joke around a lot. It's been a running joke since the middle of the season about all the runs in the A and B gaps, and But we'll try to see if we can get some more awesome Dawson at Media Day later today. You see, I'm just doing a little cleanup here on the questions, seeing if we got anything left that we got to talk about here. But I think you guys got the crux of the vibe from out here in Phoenix. We'll be bringing you a lot more coverage later today from Media Day. We'll go to Media Day for Miami, which is 5 o'clock Miami time. And then after that, Ole Miss is flying in today. They're not here yet. Miami came in last night. And we'll be at Ole Miss Media Day as well. Looking to see. I want to see if Charlie Weiss shows up. Okay, if Charlie Weiss shows up, then at least we know for sure he's calling the game on Thursday night. But I do think that's the case. He's been going back and forth. And the funny thing was, so he leaves Ole Miss and he goes back to Baton Rouge for a recruiting visit, and he doesn't even get the quarterback that he went back to see. So complete, total waste of time. All right, I don't think I'm having dinner with Coach Dawson tonight. That's probably not going to happen. And I don't think he would appreciate me talking about his game plan either. So, but I agree with you, G Nice. That to me that's an element that they could be doing with this offense that they have not this year. And this is a great time to roll out some wrinkles. Yeah, we're on the same page on that one. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this little pop-up that we did, and we'll try to do one or two more of these from Phoenix here as the week goes forward. I want to do one with Luke Chaney. We've put Luke Chaney in charge of Ole Miss, and he's been listening in on all their media sessions and building knowledge on Ole Miss. So probably do a little something with Luke Chaney at some point here, and probably have another Good Morning CaneSport show at some point also. So we'll keep you guys in the loop, up to date on what's going on out here in the desert. I hope I run into some of you guys around town, whether it be at the golf course. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon at Camelback after we got the head coach's press conferences in the morning, and we'll be back out at Camelback in the afternoon, and probably hit that twisted what's the name of that? Probably go to Turning Stick at some point and check that out. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night or whatever. And so hope to run into some of you guys around town, Maple and Vine, Mastro's, wherever you choose to eat. Hope to see you guys that are coming out to Phoenix. We had a huge Canes contingent in Dallas. I'm expecting the same on Thursday night out here on Phoenix. I know it's hard for people to take time off of work. Not the easiest thing in the world. But I'm expecting the Canes Nation to show up big once again on Thursday night. So till next time, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you soon.